when I first thought about making this channel, my initial idea was I'll never do any of those stupid lists or best of or that sort of thing. But the more I thought about it, the more I thought, what kind of YouTube channel would this be if I didn't have some sort of list? This episode, I'm going to talk about the 5 Game Master traits that annoy the piss out of me. I want to start off by stating we all do some of these things from time to time. It's just natural, depending on the particular situation. And as we progress through the list, they'll get worse. And the very last one, to me, is irredeemable as a game master. Maybe not as a person, but if this is the way that you run a game, you probably should stop playing the game altogether. So the first one on the list is the retcon. Now, I understand every once in a while something might come up and, a player has to leave or a player is on hiatus for a little while and there might be some type of retcon that happens then. And that's understandable because you want to try and fit them into the story however you can. The type of retcon I don't like is when you see the dungeon master or game master going through their notes and they're like, I forgot all about this thing. Let's go all the way back to this point and negate everything that happened and we'll kind of play through it once again. The character building that you did doesn't mean anything anymore and things could change, so now you're in a different scenario altogether and you're left feeling with that sense of this isn't really how things would have been. It can kind of break you from the game, and we should all try to limit how much we do that. It can really be tough for your players. Now, the next one is one of the most annoying things that people do, but it's by no means the worst thing you can do as a dungeon master on this list. It's just really obnoxious. And that's when you have the scenario where everything you try to do as a player, there's a rule for it. I can understand if there are stakes, right? You want it there if there are stakes. If there's something if there's some sort of consequence that will happen if you fail. You're trying to impress the Lord. You're trying to get some information from him or for a favor or anything like that. And, you do some acrobatics, backflips, and tightrope walks and stuff like that. There's going to be a check, and there should be. But let's say your party is sitting around a fire, and, they're all just, shooting the breeze, and you're building character, you're doing some role-playing, you're really getting to know each other and meld as a group. And you say, I'm going to practice my backflips while we're sitting around the fire. Well, then you have a game master who's like, well, roll me in acrobatics or something along those lines. And all of a sudden you're in this like, but why? Why do I suddenly have stakes on something that wasn't meant to be anything? What if I fail, am I going to like break an ankle or something like that? This is supposed to be just the flavor right now, not actual mechanical gameplay. And that becomes obnoxious because it's like, well, why am I going to bother role playing? Why am I going to bother trying to create some story or some drama in this? It makes it less fun to just go through. And like the first one, we all do this. We get wrapped up and, we're trying to make sure that the players always know that there are stakes. And sometimes when we do that, we don't let there be a little air in between the stakes. It bogs your players down. So with this next one, we're really starting to get into the realm of the jerky DM. And it might seem a little harsh, but to me, anytime a dungeon master or game master does something that takes away player agency And I'm not even talking about railroading. I'm talking about the actual in-game decisions that the player is making, or the way that they're building their character, story and arc. That all should be left to the player, not the game master. So these next two are actually going to kind of touch base on those type of things. Number 3 on the list is when the game master tells you how your character reacts or feels about a particular thing. They describe their scene and they say your character feels disturbed, or things like that. They try to tell you how your character is going to react to a situation. What type of emotional reaction they'll have. And the problem here is it's your character. Why is the game master telling you how your character is reacting? That is taking away the player's fun. They're not able to respond to the world that the game master is presenting to them in a way that they feel their character would. So number 4 actually ties very closely in with number 3. And that is when the game master tells you how to play your character. What I mean by this is they pick some arbitrary thing in your background or on your character sheet, and they'll say to you, oh, well, would your character really act that way? Or, your character's lawful good. Would they really steal that bread to give to the child? Or would they let the child walk free without getting their arm chopped off if they saw them stealing the bread? It doesn't matter what the game master thinks your character would do. It matters what you think your character would do. The idea of alignment, for instance, in this day and age is no longer something that's mechanical. And where it is mechanical, it applies to things that don't matter in your role play. And it shouldn't be pressured on players to do whatever the game master prescribes as lawful good or chaotic evil or any of those things. That there's such complex ideas that to allow one person to dictate what they mean is pretty absurd. What bugs me so much about this trait is that type of game master is forcing their players, they're railroading their players into acting a way that the game master thinks they should be. Again, it doesn't matter what the game master thinks with your character. They call the shots, they determine the outcome, all those sorts of things, but they don't determine who or what your character actually is. Now, up until this point, these have been pretty small grievances, if I'm realistic. They're annoying things, but they're nothing that you would write someone off for. For the most part, on the wang rod scale, these wangs are so small that, they'd have to drive a Hummer to get noticed. This next one, however, to me is the worst thing any game master can do, and is irredeemable. I will not play with a game master if they do this thing. There's a good chance that I might not even talk to them after, because it makes me wonder what type of person they really are. And that is the bully. In this particular situation, the bully is the one who uses their power as the game master to diminish the players or a particular player. They're the one who, for whatever reason, they'll have it out for a certain person at their table, and they'll just make their game a living hell. Let's say everybody shows up 5 to 10 minutes late, and this one person shows up 11 minutes late, and the game master's like, well, everybody gets to level up tonight but you, because you showed up late. Or they're constantly, all the negative things that happen just get piled onto this one player. Or the DM consistently crosses lines with their players, and they subject them to things that make them feel uncomfortable, just because they're the game master. To me, you're not a game master, you're just a dick. I don't like that type of game. And if you do, I definitely don't want to play at the same table as you. And let's be honest, go home, eat some Cheetos, drink some Code Red, play some games on your computer, leave the rest of us alone, because that DM just sucks. If I miss any that you think should be on the list, let me know in the comments below. Or if you agree, disagree, want to add something to something I've said, I'm really happy to have any conversation. I do plan on getting out some hobby videos very soon here. I'm just waiting for some equipment to come in, and we'll get rolling on those. I do have a method of making a dungeon tile system that is pretty different. And so I'd like to do some videos on how I make them, how I use them, that sort of thing. And then I'll do some painting videos in the near future as well. Really don't know how to end these yet. I could do something like hibbity dibbity, goodbye. But, that's pretty lame. On that note, thanks for spending your time with me, and I hope I see you in the next one.